Welcome back to Soil Sage and Soul Siren with Maurice Small and Rebecca Reynolds. Maurice, how are you today?
Rebecca, I'm doing wonderful here in the rainy, moist, humid South. How are you today?
Well, it's sunny, mild, and really brilliant here. And today's topic, as you and I have just discussed, is the privilege of American pollution. Wow. Do you want to offer your first thoughts on this, Maurice?
First thoughts would be there's something about knowing that a concert is happening in a public park and people want to go see this performer do their thing. And you drive by on your bicycle or your roller skates and you're like, bobbing your head through the vibe and everything's cool. And then you drive by in the morning, on the bus on your way to work, and there's this bunch of trash, soda bottles, water bottles, chip bags, styrofoam, uh, all other types of mannerism of consumerism in this park after the concert. And you see about 15 people from the city picking up people's trash. And that's something that I feel is definitely an American privilege, is that someone else will pick up after me. Someone else will take care of the ocean. Someone else will take care of it. I don't have to. I'm going to come here, have a good time, leave my stuff behind, and let somebody else take care of it. What are your thoughts?
Well, having once owned a cleaning company, I would say that, yes, my company was hired to clean up after people. And I was always dismayed about just how much people would have us clean up after, that there weren't even dignity to who was cleaning up. Like, it was undignified, the amount of garbage and disgusting stuff that people would leave, even not flushing toilets. Just simple, common courtesy things that, well, we'll leave it to these people. And so what we understand, both of us, from this is that someone else is going to take care of it. And the idea that we have in America that's someone else's job is ludicrous and really a hierarchy of I have the privilege and I will just leave that to the minions. Without respect to what the minions, have been going through, those who do those service jobs. Let's say that again, in service to humanity, but without respect. So the respect mechanism is missing. Yeah.
So how do we get to a level of common courtesy for each other and common courtesy for the earth? Because if we use our imagination and it's a beautiful sunny afternoon, you're at a park, you're having a great time with your family and friends at a concert, and you go home at like 7 o'clock and, whatever. And then a storm blows in and all the stuff you left behind blows into the street, blows into the sewers, blows into your watershed. And then there's a turtle or a bunch of frogs that are trapped in all this plastic bag stuff and bottle stuff that we left behind. What about that? How do we get people to think about the importance of, you don't just leave it for others to pick up, but nature can't pick up after us when it's blown into or washed into the environment?
I like the usage of the word imagination, the imaging mind. Are we using our minds to image beauty, or are we using our minds to image destruction? And obviously, you and I both know as parents, we're parents, that we have instructed our children, you and I have, to honor and value and revere the earth mother. And in so doing, we have taught our children to pick up after themselves and not leave that to the others, even though there are people in service to do that. And with that said, I think largely a lot of this is that we do not respect those who do those service jobs because they're somehow, and I'm not talking about you and I, we revere them. We are them. We're doing the service. But those individuals who see this higher education and I have this degree or that degree, not in all cases, but sometimes they look at those who are not degree doing this service work as lesser than them. And so they'll just leave the mass destruction. No, they'll take care of it. Why should I, be unclean? Now, again, we're not talking about everybody, but you and I both know this starts from the roots up, the roots of our children, how we raise them. I don't know. Did I say too much there?
No, I think you're right on target. I think that there's a type of mental illness involved as well because of the American mindset. And I would recommend, were I a doctor, I would recommend cognitive behavioral therapy because there's something that needs to be, some kind of intervention needs to happen, that we have this mindset of privilege and I only care about me and who's around me and this and that. Whereas with cognitive behavioral therapy, there's a way in which we can address some of the things that we've on purpose, because this isn't something that our minds have naturally in them. It's something that is taught. And as you teach children to just, throw it away, throw it away, throw it away, it leads to 24-year-olds and 34-year-olds and 54-year-olds and 64-year-old people throwing stuff away. And there is no way, it goes somewhere. We have to begin to look at what we do as humans, especially here in America, as a disrespect. You mentioned it. These people aren't just here to do the job. They're here to be respected as they do their job. And as we go to a concert, as we go through a parking lot, let's take a bag with us and pack it in, pack it out. You go camping, you pack it in, you pack it out. You don't leave stuff in nature. We got to look at stuff as this is not someone else's responsibility. And cognitive behavioral therapy, I believe, on a large scale, could help a lot of us begin to rethink and reduce some of the pollution that we have after we leave someplace.
I like where you're going, Maurice. Behavioral therapy. And also on the flip side of that, in terms of, who leaves the trash and really the whole idea that someone else is going to take care of it also has a flip side of that, as people who come in saying, you don't respect where I live. I'm in this neighborhood that you don't respect because I don't have the things that you have in your neighborhood. So guess what? Now I'm here and I don't care about your neighborhood. So I'm seeing, a lot of, and take that, that, they don't want to be moving in a direction of servitude because they're already in servitude. They're not making enough money. They don't want to waste any more of their time to clean up. So there's so much going on because I see it not just in the privileged. I see it in those who have been marginalized saying, yeah, well, this is how I feel internally. So I'm just going to leave this here.
Yep.
It's an outward expression of their pain.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So I agree with you. This therapy, this different way of working. I also think in some respect, there's all of this free stuff here. What I mean by that is it's free to use the Metro Park system, which is amazing, in the Cleveland area. Amazing system. It's free. And because of that, no one has buy-in for protection of it. I don't know. The quick answer is, you have skin in the game. You have to do some service in your park system because it's nothing's free. We could talk. Yeah.
How about charging a plastic tax? How about charging a sugar tax? How about charging, they already tax alcohol and tobacco, but how about the simple things like sugar and plastic?
Sugar. Tell
Now,
me about the sugar tax. Like, what is that to you in terms of this garbage aspect?
in the aspect of sugar, we put, and I say we in general, we put sugar in everything. We put sugar in our coffee, we put sugar in our tea, we put sugar in our food, we put sugar in our bread, we put sugar in our breakfast, we put sugar in our dinner. Sugar is everywhere. It's that commodity. And the whole world, as we know, was built around sugar and sugar cane and all the sweet stuff. Now, salt is very important too, but it hasn't quite done what sugar has done to our thinking. So if we were able to,
Wait, you just said something. So sugar has modified our thinking. And
yes,
you're saying because it's corrupted us, essentially,
right,
like alcohol sugars, bing, bing,
mm-hmm,
bing,
bing,
then
bing,
we should tax that because
yes,
it's dementing minds.
right.
Shouldn't we just get rid of it?
Well, I think we would be in for a 50-year fight to get rid of sugar because of we've already gotten rid of it with the artificial sugars that are killing us even faster than the sugar was.
True that. Mm-hmm. I got my boxing gloves on, and one says sugar cane and one says sugar cubes. You want a cane or a cube? Oh my. Well, okay. So that's one way. The
Okay.
taxation. Oh boy, we're going to be throwing tea bags in the lake soon.
Pretty soon. And then we get into the aspect of plastic. Now we're paying, I don't know how much plastic in a bottle, soda or water. I don't know how much that stuff costs because I don't buy it. But there's the piece about if you're paying $2 for a bottle of water, a plastic bottle of water, there should be a tax on that or a return. Back when I was a kid, you could return glass bottles for a refund. You can get 5 cents. And the goal was you could collect, 15 bottles in the side of the street and go back to the corner store and get a few bags of chips and another soda or whatever. But that's no more. And there's this realm of just throw it away. We ask people to recycle, but they're not recycling. And a number of cities say they have recycling, but the recycling doesn't go to the recycling plant. It goes to a landfill or it goes into a cube and it gets shipped off to another country that buys it and ships it back to us in another form. So what are we doing? How do we tax stuff that we get for free? You go to the dollar store, you go to the gas station, you go somewhere and they give you a plastic bag with it. Let's tax the plastic bag. If you want a plastic bag, you have to pay for it. There's a city out west. There's a number of cities. I think it's San Francisco and Las Cruces, New Mexico. They do not give out bags anymore. If you want a bag with your purchase, you have to bring your own or you have to pay for one. That way, these bags just don't end up on the side of the road one-time use. So I'm curious, Rebecca, what are you thinking about those two thoughts?
Well, right now, I think the Sage and the Siren are on a rant. And for good reasons. We're on a rant because we're watching a bevy of different issues all collide in one big topic, which is you are trashing our earth. Because as I sit in this should be pristine area near the park, I can see water bottles, I can see, Gatorade bottles and plastic bags everywhere. And so we're saying the people are privileged. The people don't have to clean up after themselves. The people don't have to have responsibility at this time of what they're buying, as in they don't go away. Plastic bottles aren't going away. And so clearly there either has to be the cognitive therapy, which is, we have to retrain the minds of the individuals. I think that's obvious. We have to retrain minds. Number two, we have to limit access to these supposedly, inconvenient objects, including the cans that people drink out of, because that's just pure poison to the brain. That's a whole other topic. We have to reuse and bring our water bottles, and we have to train people that you aren't getting a bottle. You bring your bottle. I don't, no bottles for you.
That's right.
And then also maybe there are taxes just to come into these public spaces, and so that, yeah, if you're going to pollute, it's going to take extra work of these people, and your city isn't paying for it. I mean, these are big issues we're talking about, Maurice, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we've laid down a couple of good ideas. There's a different structure for training the brain on how we look at the world and what it means to us and our children.
Yep.
That we limit the quote unquote convenience items, which is going to piss off a lot of people because they're used to getting in their car with their lattes and their things that are soothing them because their lives are unsoothed. Right. It's a conundrum. Of which you have offered some ideas. The therapy to the mind, a different way of training our brains. This starts from the roots up with our children. And right now people are so busy just making it happen that they're not training their kids often. I don't know if we've solved this yet. I think we've thrown a few things down.
We haven't solved it by any means. But leaving our listeners with a couple of things as we end this broadcast is important. And I'd like to add that you and I collaborate. And as we collaborate, we also participate. So if we could leave our listeners with a bit of collaboration opportunity and a bit of participation opportunity, I think that'd be great. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree. So teach your children well. Teach your children well. And I love your idea. Come to the park with a bag and not just put your stuff in it, but allow your children to say, hey, listen, why don't you go pick up those things? And give them a rubber glove or one of those little tong things and let them pick up a few things each time. It's a simple act of generous offerings to the earth and the public as a whole. It may not be your stuff you're picking up, but that's okay. We can pick up other people's stuff. Other people pick up our stuff. How about you, Maurice? Closing thoughts on that?
I agree. Our family has 5 of those picker-upper things.
The picker-uppers.
Yep. And we go and we always carry bags with us, and we always carry our picker-upper things with us so that we can stop. And it's important to just, when you see a bunch of it, 1 or 2 things, we're not going to stop every time because we never get anywhere. But sometimes we'll just see like a whole bunch of stuff just dumped there, and it's just repulsive. And it's right next to a sewer, which leads to the watershed. So we'll stop, get out our picker-upper things, and we'll put them in a bag, and we'll bring them back home, or we'll find a city garbage thing or whatever. But it can't get into our water stream. We have to participate with the earth, and we have to collaborate with each other in our different neighborhoods to make sure that these random acts of litter, don't continue. We gotta take better care. That's it. Just gotta take better care. Thanks, Rebecca.
Thank you, Maurice. And I think we have several tips for our listeners, and we're going to ask you chime in too. Chime in. Let us know what your thoughts are and what you're doing with your family. And we want to hear from you either on Instagram or on our Facebook page. And thank you from the Soil Sage and the Soul Siren. Be well, friends. And goodbye for now, Maurice.
Bye-bye.